My daughter, at the age of 18, was diagnosed with a grade 4 brain tumour in February 2012. So she had a persistent weekend of vomiting and had a CT of her head, and they discovered a tumour on her brain. So she was helicoptered down from the Central Coast and had immediate brain surgery. Once the surgeon came back, they mentioned the word radiation and chemotherapy, and I knew that my daughter's journey was just beginning.
So I've been looking after brain tumours for more than 30 years, and over that time period, the biggest problem is that there's been very little advances made in the overall treatment for the worst sort of brain tumour. The worst sort of brain tumour is a tumour called glioblastoma. The unfortunate problem that we have is that the commonest tumour is still the most difficult tumour to look after. The commonest tumour is still the one that leads to the most deaths. The commonest tumour doesn't really have any advocates because all the potential advocates ultimately pass away from that tumour, and we're left with relatives and people who are interested in brain tumour management who have to basically promote the research goals, and that differentiates it from many tumours such as, for instance, prostate cancer, breast cancer, where there are many long-term survivors who go on the road and they can actually promote the research into that field. We don't have that luxury in brain tumours. Snog is actually an old organisation. It's been around for 15 years. It was set up by a group of doctors and lay people and CEOs and business people to run an organisation that did three things. We were obviously very focused in research. We were very focused in patient support and care for the patient and the families, and we focused in education.
So Snog have clinical support people. We run information evenings. There's always someone basically available at the end of the telephone to take calls at any time to help patients or their families who are worried about their situation. Yeah, I think that's an extremely important part of the use of monies that are raised by fundraising activities, balls, afternoon teas, golf days and so on. All of that money goes into research or into directly helping brain tumour patients and their families.
Okay, once I'd recovered to a reasonable extent, we started to go along to the Snog evenings on a Tuesday, and they helped understand really what it was. They gave us a lot of literature. They had evenings where they'd show someone would come in and talk, and we found out that the research funding for most other cancers was significantly higher than brain cancer. To this day, I can't really answer why that is. My understanding now that there is more happening and there's more awareness, but seriously not enough. It's kind of like the forgotten cancer, from what I can gather.
You do find a lot of publicity, a lot of money goes towards other cancers very easily, and it's very much out there, but when it comes to brain cancer, there's not a whole lot that tends to be directed to them, and it takes a lot of work for people to become aware of it, and that's the reason why I'm trying to do something about it, because I believe that it's not enough what's being done, and we just need to raise the awareness.
But the main thing is that what we suffered and what we went through, others are doing too, but not many people talk about it. I don't understand why brain cancer is very rarely spoken about. It is forgotten, and it's sad. We hear so many other stories about people being ill, but brain cancer doesn't get the same exposure that it definitely deserves. And I'm hoping that we can all get together, and in our little way, that can become something bigger. And hopefully in a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years time, we can actually say we've got something. We've found something that we can say is going towards a cure, and we can crack that code, and that people no longer need to die from this terrible disease.
The Sydney Neuro-Oncology Group is very much unique in the way that it raises its funds for research. The funds are directed straight towards the clinical teams who then distribute that research funding to where it's exactly needed. Targeted campaigns right to the researchers directly. And we rely on the support of our community to assist with those fundraising campaigns. And that's been one of the great benefits I've seen through this Snog unit, is that we've been able to generate funds, steer it directly to research with minimal wastage, and it's been done in a very efficient manner.
The overall research focus is to improve treatments and patient outcomes for those suffering from glioma. Our research team performs what is known as translational research, and this signifies our mission to rapidly convert critical findings from the laboratory to the clinic in order to benefit patients.
In terms of patient support, we have a dedicated nurse who cares for all the ins and outs and the intricacies of the care when you've got a brain tumour. It's a life-shattering event with a brain tumour, and there's many sort of aspects that have to be addressed, and having a dedicated clinical nurse specialist, that's absolutely vital. So some sort of care coordinator is important. We have one in Snog, we probably need more.
So the role that I have really is where I meet a patient when they get diagnosed and meet the family and get them through the pathway, or explain the pathway of the treatment plan. The treatment plan for patients with high-grade brain tumours is complex, and it's different to other tumour strains. And patients that usually get diagnosed with a glioma or a high-grade brain tumour tend to need a lot of family support. It's not a type of tumour that you can do by yourself. So a lot of what I do is ongoing education support, getting patients into appointments, the complex treatment pathway for these patients. They get seen by a neurosurgeon, they get seen by a radiation oncologist, they get seen by a medical oncologist for radiation, chemotherapy, and it's ongoing. They never leave our service. And eventually, linking into palliative care. So I see these patients from beginning to end, really, which is what I really like about what I do. As much, I like to see that patients are supported throughout that journey, if you like.
And then my brother was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumour in 2006, and he was in his 30s with 3 young children and a wife. And so I knew what was going to happen, basically, and being aware of the journey of other patients and their families in the past didn't really help, obviously, with that personal experience. And unfortunately, he passed away. And obviously, that personal experience really affects my ability to empathise with patients and their families. And I think that's helpful. But ultimately, we really need to do something about a disease that takes people in the prime of their life.
And my wish, one day, hopefully in the near future, is that there is a 20-year-old young lady sitting here as a survivor of brain cancer instead of their mother, because family and friends are the only voice to this malignant form, and until we raise funds so that we can research this disease, then it will only be the family and friends of this lethal disease. And my wish as a mother is that it will be survivors of brain cancer.
Now we've become this lovely neuro-oncology team, and whether you're medical oncology or radiation oncology, you're actually working for the benefit of the neuro-oncology patient. And I think that's something that's changed. So we've got this bunch of fantastic doctors, nurses, that are in this, and their whole ambition is to try and make things better for the patients that we see.
I take heart from research in other areas of cancer, particularly melanoma, where we've seen a disease which was, again, a virtual death sentence, become something that is frequently quite well treated, and the cure rates have significantly improved. So if we persist with our research, then I think we can definitely reach a day where we'll be able to say to patients, we have something that's effective to help you with this problem, rather than say we're going to do our best, but we have to warn you that this is going to be a very difficult struggle. So yeah, I'm just proud to be involved with Snog, and we are really committed, everyone involved are committed to try and find a cure for this disease, but also help those who are going through that journey in the meantime.
And I came down to asking just one question: how does it make you feel nursing these patients? And yes, the same thing came back all the time. It is challenging, and it can be awfully sad at times also. But having committed to this specialty, we range from very junior staff to some very experienced staff, and we've found the rewards far outweigh the negatives. Speaking for all my dedicated skilled nurses, we'd like to thank you for trusting in us to care for you and your families through this most difficult time. Not only are we privileged to nurse these patients, but I also feel privileged to also work with a great group of committed, passionate people. It's a fight, and it's a fight for life, and it's one we won't give up on, and it's one that we hope that the cure is just around the corner. So please never give up hope.
The night we got home from our holiday spot, we thought we'd all sleep well. I had a seizure, fit an ambulance ride. Our future, time could tell. We were informed that I had a brain tumour. I was more concerned about our daughters. We made some calls and saw our family as we were swimming in unknown waters. My surgery was a success for all, even though my tumour was rare. I treated myself with hypnosis so that I could begin my repair. I started my trial treatments, listening to all my doctor's advice. I'd always trust my instincts, this isn't going to happen twice. Even though some times were tough, I'd always think and smile. I'd change my life to live simply, to create a new lifestyle. I'm recovering my brain so well, I forget anything's happened to me. I'm back to being a mother again, so I'll continue to be tumour-free. Now it's time to do something for others, as our brains are so pure, to help research brain cancer and find the perfect cure.